Captain Hayes wiped the sweat from his forehead as he stepped carefully over the rocky terrain of the alien planet. The air was thin and smelled faintly metallic, but it did not harm them. His small research team followed closely, carrying light, equipment, and small containment devices designed for studying local wildlife. They had traveled far from Earth, seeking knowledge and understanding of life beyond their planet. The mission was simple in theory: observe, record, and learn. In practice, every step brought surprises, as the planet's forests shimmered with unusual colors and sounds no human had ever heard before. "Careful near that cluster of plants," whispered Lena, one of the researchers, pointing toward a group of bioluminescent bushes. "Some of these species move if you get too close." Captain Hayes nodded. He had seen strange creatures flit among the foliage, tiny beings with delicate wings that glowed like lanterns. The team moved slowly, setting up small traps and nets designed to catch animals for observation. The traps were harmless, meant only to contain the creatures for a short period before release. Everything seemed routine until a sudden flash of movement caught their eyes. A small figure darted through the undergrowth and with a soft thud landed right in one of the human traps. The net tightened gently around her, but she struggled immediately. The humans froze. This was no ordinary animal. She had the shape of a small human, though her skin shimmered like liquid light, and faint, delicate wings folded against her back. Her eyes were wide with fear, glowing faintly in the dim light of the forest. She screamed, a sound that pierced the quiet hum of the planet. "No, don't eat me, please." Her voice was musical but trembling, filled with terror. The humans stepped back instinctively. None of them had anticipated that a trap meant for harmless wildlife would snare an intelligent being. "Wait," said Hayes, holding up his hands. She's not dangerous. Look at her. She's afraid, not aggressive." Lena approached slowly, trying to show calmness. "Maybe she thinks we're predators," she said. Her fear, its survival instinct. The alien girl's small body shook violently as she struggled against the soft ropes of the net. Her eyes darted from one human to another, searching for a sign of danger. She had never encountered a species like this. On her home world, larger creatures hunted smaller ones for food, and she had learned to fear strangers. Everything about these humans, their size, their strange limbs, their unfamiliar faces, triggered a primal terror she could not control. "Easy," Hayes murmured, kneeling a few feet away. "We're not going to hurt you." He carefully opened his hands, making a deliberate gesture of peace. The alien girl flinched but froze, watching. Her fear was strong, but so was her curiosity. She had never seen anything like them before. They were unlike the predators of her world, yet they were large, capable, and potentially dangerous. The team spoke softly among themselves, debating what to do. They had a translator device, but it was calibrated for known languages and patterns. Not something like this, Hayes thought carefully. Their goal was to study life, not to harm it. But this was not a creature. They were dealing with a young alien being who clearly understood the danger she imagined. Lena took out a small container with edible nutrient cubes. She placed it gently on the ground, sliding it toward the net. The alien girl's glowing eyes flickered with suspicion. She sniffed the food, her hands trembling before cautiously reaching out. Her fingers touched the cube, then recoiled, as if testing whether it was a trap. Slowly she picked it up and ate, glancing nervously at the humans. It was a small act of trust, but a beginning nonetheless. "See?" Hayes said softly. "She's intelligent. She understands we mean no harm." Hours passed as the humans observed and waited. They noted every gesture, every movement, every hint of recognition in her eyes. She was cautious but curious, starting to realize that these humans might not be like the predators she feared. In return, she studied them, noting their careful movements, the way they handled the environment and each other. This careful observation impressed Hayes. Humans, he realized, were uniquely patient, able to convey intentions through gestures, actions, and calm persistence rather than force. Tutor alien girl finally stopped struggling against the net. She leaned back and watched silently as Hayes crouched beside her. Slowly, he reached out his hand again. This time, she did not flinch as much. The trust was small, fragile, but it was growing. That night, the forest shimmered with glowing plants, and the alien girl remained in the containment area, but she no longer screamed. Instead, she watched the humans work and move, her fear slowly giving way to curiosity. The humans, in turn, marveled at her unique biology, her luminous skin, delicate wings, and expressive eyes. Captain Hayes knew that this encounter, born from a simple mistake, had the potential to teach both species something extraordinary. The trap had been set for small creatures, but it had caught something much greater, the beginning of a connection between two very different forms of life. Both humans and the alien girl were about to learn that fear could turn into understanding, and understanding could become the first step toward trust. And in that understanding lay the promise of discovery, friendship, and the extraordinary potential of humanity. The alien girl stayed quiet through the night, her glowing skin faintly illuminating the soft forest floor. She had curled up in a corner of the containment area, wings folded tightly against her back, as though keeping herself small would make the humans less threatening. Captain Hayes and his team kept a respectful distance, knowing that patience would be more effective than force. No one wanted to frighten her again. Every movement they made was deliberate, slow, and careful, showing her that they meant no harm. By morning, the girl was awake, watching the humans with wide, fearful eyes. Her muscles tensed as they approached, but she did not flee. She had begun to understand something subtle. The humans did not move like predators. They did not lunge, snarl, or attempt to dominate her. Instead, they moved with caution, almost, as if they were studying her in the same way she studied them. The realization confused her. How could creatures that were so large and strong not be dangerous? Captain Hayes knelt a short distance away and spoke softly. "We're not going to hurt you. We just want to understand. Can you see that?" The alien girl blinked slowly, unsure if she could trust him. Her mind raced with warnings from her home world. Do not trust the unknown. Predators often pretended to be friendly. Her instincts screamed at her to flee, but her curiosity was stronger than fear. Lena carefully slid another nutrient cube toward her, this one slightly different, with a scent the humans had tested as safe. The girl sniffed it, her eyes darting between the humans and the small offering. She hesitated, then slowly reached out. Her delicate fingers trembled as they closed around the cube. She pulled it toward her chest and nibbled. The humans remained, still, silent, their calmness allowing her to relax slightly. Each small act of eating, each tiny movement without panic, was a bridge forming between two worlds. Hours passed as the humans worked nearby, setting up observation equipment while the girl watched. Her fear began to ease just a little. She noticed patterns in their behavior. They spoke to each other quietly, moved carefully, and avoided sudden gestures. They seemed aware of her presence, not just her physical being, but her feelings. This awareness fascinated her. She had never encountered creatures who considered emotions alongside actions. On her planet, survival often meant ignoring empathy. In the afternoon, she started to imitate small gestures. When a human waved gently, she lifted her hand in a similar motion. When Lena touched the ground and pointed to a plant, she mimicked the gesture. The humans noticed immediately. Captain Hayes smiled. This was a sign that her mind was open, ready to observe, and perhaps willing to learn. Communication would be slow, but it was possible. The alien girl's eyes followed every human movement. She had begun to study them as closely as they studied her. She noticed how they shared responsibilities, how they looked out for each other, and how they carefully avoided harming the forest around them. It was strange, yet impressive. Their strength was undeniable, but their actions carried caution, respect, and patience. She could not understand all of it, but she sensed the difference from predators back home. These creatures were not like the ones she feared. By late afternoon, she had started experimenting with simple sounds. When Captain Hayes spoke softly, she repeated small tones, matching their rhythm imperfectly but with effort. She was testing whether the humans would respond. When Hayes nodded and smiled, she let out a faint trill of excitement. For the first time, she felt a small spark of hope. Maybe these beings were not threats, maybe they could be trusted. The humans, for their part, were equally fascinated. They noted her glowing skin, the delicate wing movements, and the intelligence in her eyes. She was not just an alien specimen. She was a being with thoughts, feelings, and fears. The more they observed her, the more they realized how extraordinary humans' patience and curiosity were. Their ability to understand and communicate without force, to show empathy toward an unknown creature, was shaping a connection that could not have happened otherwise. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the alien girl no longer struggled against the net. She leaned back, watching the humans work and occasionally reaching for small objects they offered. She had begun to understand that these humans were not predators. They were something else entirely. Something capable of trust, of patience, and of care. Her fear had not disappeared, but it had softened into cautious curiosity. That evening, Captain Hayes recorded his observations. He wrote about her reactions, her intelligence, and the way she had begun to mimic gestures. He noted that understanding another species required more than observation. It required patience, respect, and empathy. Humans had the ability to teach, but they also had the ability to learn from fear, from curiosity, and from beings completely different from themselves. The alien girl curled up once more, her wings shimmering faintly in the twilight. She thought about the humans' actions, their words, and their gestures. For the first time, she considered the possibility that not all large, unknown creatures were dangerous. Fear could be transformed into understanding. Trust could grow slowly, one small act at a time, and somewhere deep inside, she began to imagine a future where humans and her kind could interact without fear, sharing knowledge and experiences in ways she had never dreamed possible. The night was calm, but the bond between the humans and the alien girl had begun. A fragile trust had taken root, and both sides felt it. The humans had proven that patience, empathy, and intelligence could reach across the greatest divide. The alien girl had realized that fear could evolve into curiosity, and in that quiet alien forest under the glowing plants and strange sounds, something extraordinary was beginning. The alien girl had grown more observant by the next morning. She no longer recoiled at every movement the humans made, though her glowing skin still flickered nervously when they came too close. Captain Hayes, sensing the right moment, decided it was time to begin trying to communicate more intentionally. He knew that words alone might not work. She had no concept of human language, and gestures could be misinterpreted. They needed a system both species could understand. He sat down a short distance from her, placing his hands flat on the ground to show he meant no harm. "We are not enemies," he said softly. "We want to learn about you, and we want you to learn about us." The alien girl tilted her head, her large glowing eyes tracking his movements carefully. She did not respond verbally, but she made a small chirping sound, almost as if testing the tone of his voice. Hayes smiled. It was a start. Lena brought forward a small board covered with symbols they had invented for communicating with unknown species. Each symbol represented a simple concept: food, danger, help, friend, and so on. She drew the symbol for friend in the sand and pointed to it. The alien girl stared, then made a quick flicker of light from her skin. Hayes and Lena realized she was trying to respond. She repeated a flicker in a different pattern, as though making her own version of a symbol. It took hours of patience, trial and error, but slowly the alien girl began to understand that the humans were trying to communicate, not trap or harm her. She started pointing to objects, trying to associate them with the symbols the humans drew. For example, when Lena drew the symbol for food and held out a nutrient cube, the girl pointed to the cube and then back to the symbol. She had grasped a basic idea of representation. Objects and ideas could be connected through symbols. Hayes noted the significance in his journal. This was more than instinct, it was intelligent learning, and it was happening because humans were patient and careful. Throughout the day, the alien girl tested her understanding. She tried to mimic the human symbols, using small flickers of light and hand gestures. Sometimes she got it wrong and the humans would gently correct her. She began to enjoy the interaction, even smiling faintly in the way her species expressed happiness. It was a remarkable breakthrough. Hayes felt a deep sense of pride and wonder. Human curiosity and persistence had created a bridge across the vast differences between species. As she grew more confident, the alien girl started experimenting with her voice. She produced soft trills and clicks, matching the rhythm of human words. Hayes and Lena responded by repeating their simple phrases slowly, emphasizing tones. The alien girl seemed to recognize patterns, trying to repeat them in her own way. It was not perfect communication, but it was progress. She began to understand that humans were not a threat, but beings with whom she could share ideas and experiences. By late afternoon, the alien girl was moving more freely. She explored the area around her containment space, touching objects and showing them to the humans. She pointed to a glowing plant and then to Hayes, flickering her light to show curiosity. Hayes nodded, encouraging her interest. She had begun to trust that the humans were not predators, and in return the humans respected her intelligence and individuality. It was a quiet exchange of trust and learning, yet it carried the weight of something extraordinary. Throughout their interactions, the humans also learned. They discovered that the alien girl's fear was rooted in a sophisticated survival instinct. She had lived in a world where predators could deceive and capture prey easily, so caution was necessary. Understanding her fear helped the humans realize that empathy was essential in every interaction with an alien species. It was not enough to be intelligent. They had to be considerate, patient, and mindful. Hayes felt that this lesson might be more valuable than any physical sample they could collect from the planet. As evening fell, the alien girl began to experiment with combining gestures and symbols. She pointed to an object, then flickered her skin in a rhythmic pattern and finally made a soft trill. Hayes and Lena followed her cues, trying to understand her meaning. Slowly, they realized she was attempting to communicate a warning. A strange noise from the forest indicated potential danger. This was the first time she had used the symbols and her unique abilities to convey real information to them. It was a remarkable achievement, and it highlighted humanity's ability to listen, observe, and respond thoughtfully. By the end of the day, the alien girl curled up near the containment area, exhausted but satisfied. She had learned much, and so had the humans. Both sides had discovered that fear could be transformed into understanding, and understanding could become a tool for survival and connection. Hayes recorded his thoughts carefully. Humans had the patience to teach, but they also had the humility to learn. The alien girl had begun to see them not as threats but as intelligent, trustworthy beings. In the quiet twilight, under the soft glow of alien plants, a new understanding had taken root. The alien girl's fear had not disappeared completely, but it had evolved. She was beginning to trust humans, and the humans were beginning to appreciate the depth of her intelligence and instincts. For the first time, it was possible to imagine a partnership between species, where curiosity, patience, and empathy could build a bridge stronger than fear. In that moment, on a distant world, the first steps of a remarkable friendship had begun. The next morning, the alien girl woke with a sense of cautious curiosity. Her glowing skin pulsed softly as she watched the humans move around the campsite. She had begun to understand their gestures, their words, and their intentions. She realized that these humans were patient and careful, unlike the predators she had feared on her homeworld. Her fear was fading, replaced by fascination. Captain Hayes noticed her growing confidence and decided to explore the next step in their interaction. He brought out a small, simple mechanical device and placed it on the ground. It was a tool designed to measure plant growth, something the humans used in their studies. Hayes pointed to it, then mimicked its function by moving his hands as if turning knobs and pushing buttons. The alien girl tilted her head, studying him intently. She reached out, her fingers brushing the device lightly. It was the first time she had interacted directly with human technology. She seemed amazed at how simple yet functional it was, and her glowing eyes flickered with excitement. Lena brought over samples of local plants, placing them in front of the girl. She pointed to each one and drew symbols in the sand to represent growth, water, and light. The alien girl observed carefully, then used her own gestures and flickers of light to respond. She seemed to understand the connection between the symbols and the plants. Slowly, she began experimenting on her own, touching the plants gently and observing the reactions. It was as if she was conducting her own studies, learning from the humans and her environment at the same time. The humans were fascinated. They realized that the alien girl was not just intelligent, but incredibly curious and capable of learning quickly. She had a natural understanding of patterns and cause and effect relationships that even the humans had to admire. Hayes and Lena encouraged her exploration, watching as she discovered small details about the plants that they had not noticed. Her senses seemed sharper, more sensitive to subtle changes in color, texture, and light. As the day went on, the alien girl began to explore other areas around the campsite. She pointed out small creatures hidden in the undergrowth and flickered her light to signal their presence. Hayes and the team realized that her perception of the environment was extraordinary. She could detect subtle movements, slight changes in temperature, and even faint scents carried on the wind. They began to rely on her observations for their studies, noticing things they might have missed on their own. During a quiet moment, the alien girl approached Hayes and touched his hand, lightly. Her glow intensified for a moment, a sign of trust and recognition. Hayes smiled and nodded, understanding the gesture. She was no longer merely a creature to observe. She had become a partner in discovery. She shared her knowledge in ways that humans could not replicate. Her instincts, combined with her intelligence, provided insights that the team could only begin to comprehend. By late afternoon, the alien girl had learned to manipulate simple tools with her delicate fingers. She experimented with moving small objects, arranging them and observing the results. She seemed to take great pleasure in understanding how things worked. The humans were amazed at her creativity and problem-solving skills. They realized that her fear had transformed into curiosity and innovation. Her mind worked in ways that were different from theirs, but equally capable of logic and reasoning. Throughout the day, Hayes reflected on what they were witnessing. Humanity's patience, empathy, and willingness to teach had created a bridge between two completely different species. The alien girl's fear had been strong at first, but it had not prevented learning. Instead, it had sharpened her perception, making her a careful and thoughtful participant in their interactions. Humans had the ability to inspire trust and curiosity in ways that could transcend fear, creating opportunities for connection that no physical force could achieve. As the sun began to set, painting the sky with soft purples and oranges, the alien girl rested near the humans' work area. She had spent the day exploring, learning, and sharing. The humans in turn had observed, recorded, and marveled at her abilities. Both sides had discovered that learning could be mutual. The humans' curiosity and empathy had guided her, and her intelligence and intuition had taught the humans to see the world in a new way. That night, the alien girl curled up with her wings folded neatly. Her glowing skin dimmed slightly as she rested, but her mind was active. She thought about the humans' actions, their patience, and their gestures. For the first time, she considered the possibility that beings from other worlds could be allies rather than threats. She had discovered that understanding could grow from patience and observation, and that knowledge could be shared between species without fear or conflict. The humans sat nearby, quietly recording their observations. They had learned much from her as well. Her abilities, her intelligence, and her perspective on the environment provided insights that no technology could replace. Captain Hayes realized that this encounter was more than just scientific research. It was a demonstration of what humanity could achieve when curiosity, empathy, and patience were applied thoughtfully. In the quiet glow of alien plants and the soft hum of distant creatures, a unique partnership had formed. The alien girl had begun to trust the humans, and the humans had begun to understand her in ways deeper than they had ever expected. The seeds of discovery, friendship, and cooperation were planted. Both sides knew that the coming days would bring challenges, but they were ready to face them together, united by curiosity, empathy, and the extraordinary ability of humans to connect with life in all its forms. The alien girl had grown more confident in the humans' presence over the next few days. She moved freely around the campsite, occasionally touching objects, flickering her glowing skin in curious patterns, and observing every detail of the environment. Captain Hayes and his team continued their studies, but they also began to rely on her observations. Her senses were sharper than theirs, detecting subtle changes in light, movement, and sound that the humans often missed. She had become more than a subject of study. She was a partner in discovery. One afternoon, while the team was collecting samples near the forest's edge, a low, guttural growl echoed through the trees. Hayes froze, signaling for everyone to stay silent. The alien girl stiffened, her wings raising slightly, and a series of urgent flickers pulsed across her skin. Hayes immediately understood. She was warning them. She pointed toward a dense thicket where shadows moved unnaturally. The humans quickly gathered, scanning the area. From the undergrowth, a massive predator emerged, unlike any creature they had seen before. Its limbs were long and powerful, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light. It moved with a deliberate, menacing grace, clearly assessing the humans and the alien girl. The team instinctively formed a defensive circle, keeping the girl in the center. She had never experienced a threat like this, but she trusted the humans. Her fear did not paralyze her. Instead, she observed the predator carefully, her instincts guiding her to anticipate its movements. "Stay calm," Hayes whispered. "We can handle this together." He signaled Lena to prepare a simple trap using their equipment. The humans worked quickly, moving with coordination and precision. They knew that panic would be dangerous, both for themselves and for the alien girl. She watched intently, flickering her light in patterns that seemed almost like instructions, as if suggesting strategies based on what she had learned from the humans' earlier behavior. The predator advanced, its growls growing louder. Hayes and the team used light and sound to confuse it, creating sudden flashes and noises to distract it while maintaining a safe distance. The alien girl moved subtly, using her knowledge of the terrain to guide the humans towards safer positions. For the first time, the humans relied on her instincts as much as their own. It was a rare moment of mutual dependence where species differences became an advantage rather than a barrier. The predator lunged, but the humans were ready. They triggered the trap, which startled the creature and caused it to stumble. Using coordinated movements, they guided it back toward a natural chasm where it could not pursue them further. Throughout the encounter, the alien girl remained calm, her glowing skin pulsing with intensity. She understood that the humans were capable of protection, and her trust in them deepened. For the first time, she saw strength, not as a threat, but as a shield. Once the predator retreated into the shadows, the team exhaled collectively. Hayes approached the alien girl and placed a reassuring hand near hers. She responded with a small flicker, a sign of acknowledgement and gratitude. Her fear had transformed into confidence. She realized that humans were not only intelligent and curious, but also brave and protective. Her initial misconception about humans being predators had been completely overturned. The team spent the rest of the day reviewing what had happened. They recorded the alien girl's responses, noting how she had anticipated danger, communicated non-verbally, and contributed to the strategy. Hayes wrote in his journal that this incident demonstrated humanity's ability to teach, protect, and collaborate with other intelligent beings. The alien girl's instincts, combined with human ingenuity, had turned a potentially deadly encounter into a successful defense. By evening, the alien girl had returned to the campsite, her wings folded and her glow soft. She explored the area around her, examining the traces of the predator's path. Hayes and Lena watched her, amazed at how quickly she had adapted. She was no longer the fearful being trapped in the net days before. She had become an active participant in their survival and research. Her trust in humans had grown, and in turn, the humans had learned to respect her instincts and intelligence. That night, as the alien girl curled up and rested, Hayes reflected on the events of the day. Fear could be a teacher, he thought, guiding careful observation and smart decisions. But trust and collaboration could turn fear into strength. Humans had the ability to inspire that transformation, not through force, but through patience, empathy, and skillful action. The alien girl had learned to see humans as allies, and humans had learned that even the smallest creature could provide invaluable insight and assistance. The forest grew quiet, the distant sounds of other creatures filling the night air. The alien girl's glowing form dimmed as she slept, yet her mind remained active, processing the day's lessons. She had seen that intelligence, courage, and empathy could work together to overcome threats. She had discovered that fear did not have to be paralyzing, and that even in the face of danger, trust could flourish. In that quiet moment, the bond between humans and the alien girl strengthened. They had faced danger together, and both had learned from it. The human team had demonstrated bravery, strategy, and protection, while the alien girl had shared her instincts, insight, and curiosity. Together, they had overcome a threat neither could face alone. It was a moment that symbolized the extraordinary potential of humanity to build connections, to teach, to protect, and to learn from even the most unexpected allies. The morning air was crisp, and the alien girl moved with ease through the camp. She had grown confident in the human's presence and no longer flinched at sudden movements or sounds. Her glowing skin pulsed gently as she observed the humans, preparing their equipment, her curiosity shining brighter than her fear. She had learned much about their behavior, patience, and methods, and she seemed eager to share her own knowledge. Captain Hayes and Lena noticed her approach and exchanged a look. Today, they decided, would be focused on learning from each other more deeply. They had realized that communication had progressed beyond basic symbols. There was now potential for real exchange of ideas. Hayes set a simple task. He showed the alien girl a small device designed to analyze soil and plant samples. He demonstrated its function, moving levers and pressing buttons, then handed it to her. Her fingers brushed the tool delicately at first. Then she began experimenting, adjusting the knobs and observing results. She reacted to each outcome with subtle flickers of light, almost as if she was recording data in her own unique way. Lena brought over several samples of native plants and set them in a small circle. She pointed to each one and drew simple symbols, representing water, sunlight, and growth. The alien girl followed her gestures and then pointed to the plants herself, adding flickers of light that indicated patterns she had noticed. Hayes and Lena realized she was not only observing but also teaching them. She showed that the plants responded differently to sunlight angles and subtle shifts in soil composition, something the humans had not fully recognized. Their admiration grew. Her instincts and intelligence complemented their knowledge perfectly. The day progressed. The alien girl began to demonstrate abilities the humans could barely comprehend. With tiny movements of her wings, she could generate small pulses of light that illuminated hidden parts of the forest, or even caused certain plants to react in ways that suggested a subtle form of communication with nature. Hayes watched in awe as she created patterns that seemed almost like a language, connecting the environment and herself. He realized that her species had evolved with abilities humans could only observe and try to understand. The alien girl also began to follow, the humans mimicking their actions in ways that suggested she was learning about human methods and problem-solving. She imitated their careful handling of tools, their observation of subtle environmental changes, and even their teamwork. Hayes noticed that her mimicry was not mere imitation. She added her own adjustments and improvements, suggesting creativity and understanding. Her actions reinforced the HFY theme. Humans' patience, guidance, and collaboration could unlock potential even in an alien species, turning fear into discovery. During a quiet moment, Hayes and Lena introduced a simple puzzle. They placed several small objects in a pattern and demonstrated a method to arrange them for study. The alien girl observed carefully, then attempted her own solution. She rearranged some pieces differently, achieving the same goal in a more efficient way. Hayes and Lena smiled at each other. She had learned from them, but had also taught them something new. The bond between them was no longer one of teacher and student alone. It was partnership, mutual respect, and shared discovery. By late afternoon, the alien girl had begun experimenting more freely. She moved among the camp, combining human tools with her own abilities. She used her light pulses to highlight plant patterns, guided the humans to hidden resources, and even suggested adjustments in their research setup. Hayes marveled at her intelligence and adaptability. She had transformed from a fearful being into a collaborator, demonstrating not only instinctive awareness, but also innovative thinking. Throughout the day, Hayes reflected on the extraordinary growth of trust between them. The alien girl's fear had not disappeared completely, but it had evolved into curiosity and cooperation. She now understood that humans could be allies, protectors, and companions in exploration. In turn, humans had learned to recognize intelligence and value in forms completely different from their own. Their patience, empathy, and guidance had unlocked her potential and taught them to see life in a new, expansive way. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in soft hues of orange and violet, the alien girl rested near the humans' equipment. Her glowing skin dimmed gently as she observed their activities. She had learned, shared, and taught in ways that reflected both her instinctive knowledge and the lessons humans had provided. The humans, in turn, watched her with admiration, realizing that the connection they had built could not have been achieved through force or fear. It was trust, patience, and curiosity that had created this bond. That evening, Hayes recorded his observations carefully. He noted her intelligence, creativity, and ability to integrate human and alien methods. He recognized that this was more than a simple encounter with an unknown species. It was an example of what humans could achieve when they applied empathy, curiosity, and understanding to bridge even the widest gaps between life forms. The alien girl had grown to trust them, and they had grown to respect her abilities and insights. In the quiet forest under the glow of luminescent plants, the partnership between humans and the alien girl had reached a new level. She was no longer merely a creature to observe. She was a collaborator, a teacher, and a friend. The bond that had begun with fear and hesitation had evolved into mutual respect and shared purpose. In that moment, both humans and alien girl realized that extraordinary discoveries were possible when patience, intelligence, and empathy worked together across worlds. The alien girl moved gracefully around the camp, her glowing skin casting soft patterns on the forest floor. She had grown confident, curious, and brave. The humans had become her companions, not predators, and her initial fear had transformed into trust. Captain Hayes watched her carefully, amazed at the progress they had made together. What had begun as a mistake, the accidental capture, had become an extraordinary journey of learning, understanding, and friendship. That morning, Hayes decided it was time for a collaborative task. He set up a series of research instruments near a cluster of rare plants. Lena arranged the samples in a pattern for observation, and the alien girl watched closely. She immediately began contributing, suggesting slight adjustments in positioning, using her glowing light to highlight differences the humans might have missed. It was clear that her instincts and keen perception were invaluable to their research. Hayes realized that she was no longer just a participant. She was an equal partner in their discoveries. As the day went on, they explored further into the forest together. The alien girl led the humans to areas they had not yet investigated, pointing out small creatures and plants hidden among the undergrowth. Her wings fluttered lightly as she moved, creating soft pulses of light that illuminated paths and revealed details invisible to human eyes. The humans followed her instructions carefully, marveling at her intelligence and the way she integrated her natural abilities with the humans' methods. It was teamwork at its finest, a blend of instinct, observation, and innovation. During a quiet moment, the alien girl paused and looked at Hayes and Lena. She flickered her light in patterns that they had learned to interpret, indicating something important. Hayes knelt and carefully watched, realizing that she was showing them a hidden grove filled with rare plants. The grove had unique properties that could be vital for their research. Hayes smiled, impressed by how she had transformed fear into guidance and collaboration. The humans and the alien girl had become a team that could achieve more together than apart. As the afternoon progressed, a gentle rain began to fall. The alien girl used her wings to shield some of the delicate equipment while the humans covered the samples. She helped them carry tools, pointing out safer paths and warning them of slippery areas. Hayes felt a profound sense of admiration. Her initial fear of humans had turned into an active desire to help and participate. She had learned to trust their intentions, and in return, they had learned to trust her instincts, knowledge, and abilities. Later, when they returned to camp, the alien girl explored the area around their temporary shelters. She carefully examined plants, insects, and soil samples, communicating her findings through gestures, light flickers, and occasional sounds. Hayes and Lena recorded everything, amazed at how much insight she provided. She was not only intelligent, but creative, finding patterns and solutions that humans alone might have overlooked. Her collaboration had become essential to their understanding of the environment. By evening, the alien girl sat near the human's fire. Her glow had softened, reflecting her calm state. She reached out a hand toward Hayes, and he took it gently. She gave a small pulse of light, which he understood as a gesture of friendship. She had come a long way from the frightened being trapped in the net days ago. Now she was a trusted companion, a symbol of what could happen when fear was replaced by curiosity, empathy, and mutual respect. Hayes spoke softly. "You've taught us so much. Your insight, your instincts, and your courage. We could not have discovered half of what we know without you." The alien girl responded with a series of light pulses, her own way of acknowledging their teamwork and expressing joy. It was an exchange beyond words, a communication that celebrated their shared experiences and growth. As night fell, the forest shimmered with bioluminescent light. The alien girl curled near the humans, her wings folded comfortably. She had learned that humans could be allies and protectors. The humans had learned that intelligence, observation, and creativity could take many forms. Both species had grown from the experience, proving that connection, trust, and collaboration could bridge worlds. Hayes reflected on the journey. A simple mistake had led to an extraordinary friendship. Fear had given way to understanding, curiosity had transformed into cooperation, and an unexpected bond had been formed. The next day, as the humans prepared to leave the planet, the alien girl followed them to the edge of the forest. She flickered her light in patterns of farewell, but there was also a sense of promise, an understanding that this was not the end, but the beginning of a connection that could span worlds. Hayes waved, feeling a profound sense of gratitude and awe. She had begun her journey in fear and mistrust, but she left as a friend, teacher, and partner. As the spaceship lifted off, the alien girl watched from the forest, her glow softly pulsing in the twilight. The humans looked back, marveling at how much had changed in just a few days. Their actions, patience, and empathy had transformed fear into friendship, and knowledge had been shared in ways neither species could have imagined alone. The experience had demonstrated the extraordinary potential of humanity, to teach, to learn, and to form bonds that defied distance, fear, and differences. In that moment, high above the alien planet, the humans knew that they had witnessed something remarkable. The alien girl's fear of being eaten had turned into trust and cooperation. What had begun as a mistake had become an unexpected gift, a reminder that humanity's patience, empathy, and courage could inspire friendship and understanding across the cosmos. It was a story they would carry forever, proof that even in the vast universe connection was possible, and humanity's ability to inspire it was extraordinary.